Hey guys, what's up and welcome to my channel and happy fall! If you didn't know, today is the first official day of fall. Well, not currently, but when this video comes out, it is going to be the first official day of fall, and I wanted to sit down and do some fall DIYs. But I did have some trouble picking out fall DIYs to do because there's so many out there. I don't know what it is about fall and DIYing, but they go together like peanut butter and jelly. So I decided to set up some parameters for myself that made picking out DIYs so much easier. The first thing that I set for myself is I want to have fun. I am not trying to create this like perfectly curated fall house. I just want a few things to sprinkle throughout my house to be like, hey, it's fall. And then the second thing that I set for myself is I don't want any of these DIYs to be expensive because it's seasonal decor, so it just doesn't make sense for me to spend a ton of money on things that are only out for a few months. It just doesn't make sense. And then the third thing is I want all of these DIYs to be quick. I want all of these DIYs to be started and finished today. So with all of that being said, let's jump into it and let's do this first fun, inexpensive, quick fall DIY. Okay guys, this first DIY up, I am going to be making a fall Halloween doormat. And I got this doormat from Walmart for just under $7. It's just a plain old doormat. And up until last night, my plan was to just paint little ghosts all over this doormat. But let me tell you about the dream I had. I had a dream that I was doing this DIY, and instead of painting out the ghost shape, I was using a sponge in the shape of a ghost. And I was just stamping away the ghost shape. And I woke up this morning and was like, brilliant dream, Miley. So I'm gonna try that because I think that will speed up this DIY and make it even quicker. So I'm gonna get started, and I'm really hoping that my dream DIY turns out in real life. First one, whew, why am I nervous? Hey, it works. Yay. Guys, that sponge technique worked out better than I thought. That was so quick and easy. It maybe took like, what, 2 minutes? Not even. I am just going to go through now with a paintbrush and really saturate each one of these ghosts with white paint, let that dry, and then I can add little faces to the ghosts. Just trying to speed up the process of having this paint dry. So I think you really could just like leave the doormat like this, but I'm going to try and add cute little faces to each one of these ghosts. If it looks stupid, I will just cover it up and leave it like this, but I think this could look potentially cute if I can like actually get the faces to show nicely, because I am working of course on a doormat, and the doormat really like soaks up paint and it's kind of like an uneven surface. So I'm gonna try my best. If it looks stupid, I'll just leave it like this. For each one of these DIYs, I timed how long it took me to make it so that I made sure I was staying within that quick range, and this mat took me 45 minutes and in total cost me $8 to make. My only regret with the first DIY is that I didn't make the gentleman We all know who I'm talking about. I didn't make him more the main character in the middle of the doormat. He's just floating off to the side, and he's definitely got main character energy. Missed opportunity, because he's my favorite out of all of the little ghosties. And next up, this is technically 2 separate DIYs that I'm gonna be doing, but I'm putting it into one category. I am making some fall pillows. The first pillow that I am going to be making, I guess I'm sticking with the ghost theme. I'm gonna be making like a really cute ghost pillow cover. All of the supplies that I have to make this DIY, I already had. This is a pillow cover I had laying around that I got on Amazon. And then I usually have a good amount of macrame cording around. Don't know why, but I do. So this is some Bonnie craft cording, because my little girl is an entrepreneur. Yes, she is. So this is a DIY that I saw on Instagram. You take the white craft cording and you create, well, basically like little rainbows all over the pillow cover, and it looks like little ghosts, and then you can go in and add little faces. So I'm gonna get started making all of the white rainbow shapes, and then we can go from there. I tried using a Posca marker for the faces of the ghost, but it didn't lead to the cleanest look, so I switched to black velvet fabric that I just had laying around. This looked much better, but was definitely more time consuming, and the velvet wasn't the easiest to cut out. So if you try out this DIY, I would recommend using more of a felt material, and this pillow cover took me an hour and cost a total of about $18. Okay, next up, I am going to be doing another pillow. This is a completely separate DIY, but in my mind, these 2 pillow DIYs was like one DIY to me, because I didn't want to just have one seasonal pillow. I wanted to have a few. So I'm going to be making a pumpkin pillow. I did a very similar DIY a few years ago. It is right here. It is obviously much smaller and not a pillow, and I now use it as a pin cushion. So these are going to be bigger and pillow sized. At least I hope so. There is a version of this DIY that is a complete no-sew, but the fabric I really want to use to make these pillows, I don't have enough of it to do the no-sew version. For all of you non-sewers out there, I am not using my sewing machine to do this. I'm just doing some hand sewing. For this DIY, I'm gonna be using some embroidery thread because it's nice and thick and it's super easy to work with. So I have this long mustard yellow Sherpa fabric, and it's just cut into a strip. I'm gonna fold that in half, and I'm just gonna do like a wraparound stitch right at the edge here. Okay, that was really nice and easy. That took about 30 seconds. And now the fabric is a big circle. So next up, I'm gonna pick one of the sides of the circle, one of the edges right here, and I'm going to do a basting stitch. A basting stitch is very easy. You're just going up and over the fabric. Under, over, under, over. Pull that through. I did a basting stitch on one end, and I'm now back where I started. So I'm going to take my one end of this fabric and pull it tight, and that gathers up this whole end of the fabric. And I am just going to take the 2 ends of the thread and tie them together nice and tight. So I just cut the ends off. I'm now gonna flip this inside out. Woohoo! Okay, so now I'm gonna repeat that basting stitch on this other edge so that when I start to put the fluff in, I'll be able to pull that tight and keep the fluff contained within this little pillow. Now that I finished my basting stitch, I'm gonna pull that just a little tight, but I wanna leave enough of an opening that I can fit fluff in there because we've basically got like a fluffless pouch right now. I'm gonna take some fluff, and I've said this in previous videos, but I never buy the polyfill that you can get at most craft stores because it's really expensive and you get such a small amount of fluff. So I usually just go to Walmart, Target, and I buy the cheapest pillow I can and I cut it open. Now I'm going to take these two ends, pull them nice and tight, and tie them up. Okay, so I personally think that this little pumpkin pillow already has like a nice shape. You could stop here, you could stick a little stem on this thing, and I think people would get that it's a pumpkin, but I want some nice defined, you know, indents to make this really look like a pumpkin. So I am taking my long upholstery needle. You don't have to use an upholstery needle, but this will make it a little bit easier. I'm going to flip the pillow over. I'm gonna stick this needle up through the pillow, pull that tight, and then you get that nice indent like a pumpkin. We have a pumpkin pillow, almost. The final thing that we need to add to our pumpkin pillow is a stem. I just cut a strip of this like orangey brown fabric that I have, and I am just going to take this fabric strip and roll it up. I have fabric hot glue, but normal hot glue will work totally fine. I am just going to hot glue this little roll of fabric shut. Okay, now I've got a little roll of fabric, and I'm gonna put some hot glue along the edge and stick it right in the center there. Okay, now we got a little stem on our pumpkin, and that completes this cute little pumpkin pillow. So I'm gonna go ahead and use this leftover gray Sherpa fabric that I have laying around and make a second one, because why not? And this only took me about like 20 minutes to make. So I'm gonna quickly make this one, and then we'll move on to the third DIY. Even though I had all the materials laying around to make these pumpkin pillows, I was able to go back and figure out what roughly each one cost me to make, and each one cost about $6, and they both took about 20 minutes to make. I don't really want to call myself a trendsetter, but ever since I did my decoupage faux chinoiserie vases, I have seen all over the internet chinoiserie pumpkins. Coincidence? I think not. I'm just joking. I definitely got that DIY idea from another DIYer, so I don't know who started the whole decoupage chinoiserie looking things, but it's a great DIY, whoever came up with it. And I wasn't gonna do this DIY because I literally just did this DIY, but it's a great DIY and I had all of the supplies to do it. So I have my chinoiserie looking napkins that I had last time. I had some faux pumpkins laying around that I spray painted white. I've got some matte Mod Podge, and I'm gonna get to work, and if you didn't see my last video, I'll let future Miley quickly explain what to do. To do this DIY, all you have to do is start off by cutting out the part of the napkin design you want to work with, and once you have that cut out, you have to separate out the napkin layers. But be careful, if your napkins are like mine, They are 3 layers, but it's not super obvious, and the top layer and the middle layer can actually be pretty hard to pull apart, but you just need to get the napkin down to the thinnest possible layer to work with. Once I had that thin layer, I brushed a little bit of Mod Podge onto the area I wanted to apply the napkin, and for the irregular shape of the pumpkin, I worked in small sections to get the best application. And for the second pumpkin, I decided to do something a little bit different, where I just cut out long sections that worked with the shape of each little pumpkin section. I thought this worked really well and gave each pumpkin a completely different look, and this by far was the longest DIY out of all of them. Each pumpkin took about an hour and cost $10 each. I have one final fun, inexpensive, quick DIY left, and I think this is the quickest DIY out of all of the DIYs, but it was the one I was like the most excited to do. I have seen this all over the internet where people go to a thrift store, they find some kind of like fall landscape photo, and they paint little ghosts and spider webs and bats into the painting. So yesterday I went out and I went thrifting, and unfortunately I didn't have any luck finding any landscape photos, and I really wanted to do this DIY. So what I did is I went on Etsy and I got a landscape painting that was a digital download, and I got it printed as an 8x10 because I had this frame laying around that's an 8x10. So my plan is to put matte Mod Podge all over this. This is a DIY I have done in previous videos. It takes a normal printed photo and makes it look like an oil painting, and then once the matte Mod Podge dries, I can go in and add my little characters and spider webs and bats and all of that stuff. This is gonna be incredibly quick, but I'm very excited to do it. This was such a fun and super quick DIY, and for my version, it took 30 minutes to make and cost $8. And that is it, guys. I had so much fun making each one of these DIYs. They're fun, and some of them are even a little goofy, but I like them. And I got to sprinkle them around my house and add a little touch of fall to the space. Also, a lot of these DIYs, I just had the supplies laying around, so it was a great way to use up some scrap materials or revamp some previous fall decor. I hope you guys liked this video and all of these projects. As always, thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye, guys.